Hello! Welcome to By Lore and Lamplight. Pull up a chair for our story tonight. I'm Davin, storyteller and magician. Tonight I'm going to tell you the story of Ryn, the Courage Forger, and how he overcame his fears and anxieties. Once upon a time, long ago, there was a village nestled amongst several hills. And in this village was a young blacksmith named Ryn. Ryn was strong and good at his craft, well liked by the villagers. His business was beginning to thrive. But despite this, Ryn's heart was often heavy as unworked iron. You see, he was often filled with anxiety and fear. Ryn would be working hard and look out the window and see clouds forming and think, it looks like it might rain tomorrow. But then it would be, the village will flood, whatever will we do? Ryn often worried that his weapons and armor would be weak and would break in battle, leaving warriors defenseless. And then he'd worry about the village being attacked by bandits. How would they take care of themselves? Ryn would worry that all sorts of things. Sometimes his worry was so bad that he couldn't work at all. Well, one day, a caravan came through town, and in this caravan was an old storyteller. Ryn met up with this man, and they struck up a conversation. And Ryn began to share with the storyteller of his fears and anxiety. That's when the storyteller did something odd. You see, he reached up and pulled outside of Ryn's head some of that fear and anxiety. And he mashed it together and forged it into a coin. And he said, Ryn, if you take this coin, whenever you have fear and anxiety, it'll appear. And when you no longer need it, it'll disappear. Well, Ryn thought about this. He said, maybe this will be just the thing he needs. So he held out his hand, and with a wave, the coin appeared. Ryn headed home, admiring his shiny new coin. When he got home, he realized he still had a few hours he could get some work done. So he set the coin up on the shelf, picked up his hammer, and got to work. As he did so, Ryn began to think and worry. What if the caravan didn't just have a storyteller? What if it was filled with thieves? What if they come in the night and steal his gold? And as he worried, he felt something in his hand, something strange, something extra. He set down the hammer, opened up his hand, and there was the coin. Amazed, Ryn looked at it. And then it did something magical. It began to whisper at him. But not positive affirmations or feel-good messages. No, it whispered at him his fear and anxiety. And it said, the caravan is full of thieves and they will steal your gold. Your weapon and armor are weak and will break in battle. Tomorrow it'll rain and the village will flood. Well, hearing this and in great fear, Ryn grabbed the coin, threw it in the fire, but it disappeared before it ever hit the flames. Now feeling very disconcerted and tired, Ryn decided to head to bed. He turned in for the night, woke up the next morning. He gathered his tools. He gathered his charcoal and his wood. And he gathered together a bunch of iron, and he got to working. As he worked, though, again, his fears and anxieties came back to him. And when they did, so too did the coin. But instead of throwing it in the fire this time, knowing it would only come back, Ryn held it and he looked at it. And for each fear and anxiety that was whispered at him, Ryn asked himself, what can I do about this right now? If there was something he could do about it, he'd do that thing. If not, he'd do his best to let it go and push it aside out of his mind. After about a half an hour, the coin began to quiet and grew still. Ryn closed his hand about the coin, and when he opened it up, it was gone. Well, Ryn got to work. He got a few more hours done, but again his anxieties and fears returned, and so too did that coin. Again, Ryn faced down that coin, and he asked himself what he could do about those things right now. But when it grew quiet, placed it in his hand, and it disappeared. And so it went for the next several days. Whenever his fear and anxiety would show up, so too did the coin. He'd quiet it down, put it in his hand, and disappear, only to have it reappear later on. And so it went, until eventually he got that coin to disappear for hours at a time. This process continued for weeks, the coin coming when he had fear and anxiety, and quieting down and disappearing when he didn't. And eventually he could make that coin go away for days at a time. Well, not too long after that, Ryn was approached, and he was offered a very complicated and challenging task, but he was promised a great reward should he succeed. Ryn took that challenge, and he began making his preparations, drawing out his plans and gathering his supplies, and with it too returned his anxiety. And with the anxiety came the coin. Well, this time Ryn faced down that coin, but no matter what he did, he couldn't make it quiet down and go away, try as he might. Eventually he realized he would just have to push through. And so despite the coin's constant whispers, he pushed on. He got through that night the best he could, ignoring the whispers of anxiety and fear. He got up the next day and got to work, all the while trying to drown out his fears and anxieties. Ryn pushed through, and he did succeed, and he was rewarded greatly for his efforts. And at that point, something changed about the coin. It stopped whispering fear and anxiety, but instead, it told him, "You are good enough, you are strong enough, you are skilled enough, and you can overcome any challenge laid before you." And then it grew silent for the first time in many days. Carefully, slowly, Ryn placed it in his hand, and it was gone. Never did that coin show up again. He began to tell others in the village how he'd overcome his fear and anxiety. In time, Ryn became known not only as a master blacksmith, but as a man who could forge courage in the hearts of others. Well, I hope you enjoyed our story tonight. May you overcome all your fears and anxieties. May the wind be ever at your back and your roads clear.